Hello, hello. Happy, what day is it? Thursday. Thursday, our fun and free paint party day. Today we're going to be painting the paper bird. And if you're new here, my name is Byrdie Larsen and I own Redbyrd Designs, a small home-based business that creates DIY kits and does paint parties and has a painting membership and a DIY kit membership. So if you're just joining, say hi. And I'm just going to make sure everything looks okay. Okay, it sounds like we've got volume, we've got picture or video, so we're good to go. So if you're joining, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. I love to see how far the video stretches and where everyone's watching from. If you're painting along with me today, comment painting in the comments. If you have questions throughout, please don't hesitate to ask. If you're catching this on the replay or painting later, let me know that too. Okay, so if you could just give me some thumbs up and hearts, let me know that you like this. Comment hi, say, throw the paint emoji down in the comments, whatever you want to do there. And then if you would help me spread the joy with this video and getting it out so others can enjoy painting as well. So like I said, we are painting the paper bird, so this is more of a mixed media art. So we've got paint and paper and glue and scissors, and sometimes it's fun to do something a little bit different. And so if you're interested in following along, or you're going to paint later and you'd like to get the supply list and tracers, you can find that in the description of the video. It takes you to my website, and there you'll see a list of the videos that we've done and will be doing that are scheduled. And so find the one that you want, click on download now, you put your email in, and then you hit submit, and it will email you a zip file, which then you open that zip file and extract the files. There's 3 files in there. There'll be a PDF for the supply list, and then 2 PDFs. Well, this one only has 1, but usually there's 2 PDFs, one for the top of the painting and then 1 for the bottom. So let me see if I can see comments here. Let's see. Hi Stacy, hi Lisa, first time here, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you. Okay, so let me minimize my face so we see more of the art, less of me. Let me try and get over there. There we go. Okay, so we'll start out by just talking about the supplies, and then we'll get into it. So with the mixed media, I'm going to talk about the paint that I'm using, but you can use any color of paint that you have. And that is my pup. If you hear him bark, that means somebody's driving by our house, so just ignore him. I will try to as well. But use paint that goes with the paper that you're using. So if you're using more bright yellows in the sun or more oranges, you might want to switch out your paint color. If you're doing a pink bird, you might want to have some pinks in there, that type of thing. So feel free to use the colors that obviously go with the paper that you have. You will need a white and a black. And I'm using a cotton pink, and I've just used it to create some polka dots here for maybe little flowers that you faintly see in the grass. I'm using a King's Gold to kind of blend my paper here in the background and create some more rays of sunshine. And I'm using a cloudless blue for some of my background sky. I've got some sky here, and then I've also used it in the bird again to blend that paper out. I've got a Kelly green for the grass and the leaves. I don't know if I've used burnt umber. That just might be out because, well, I have paint everywhere. So those are about the colors that I'm going to use today. Let's see. Let me just check on you guys. Let's see who's watching. We've got Kathy, Stacy, Doris. Hello, hello. Lisa's from Kansas. Awesome. Hi, Amy, Carol. And, oh, that was just the FedEx guy. I thought I heard a knock. Okay, so, and then for the tracers, the tracer for this one, really, we don't do any tracers for the sun. And I've just put a tracer out there, a PDF of the shape of a bird, and then the wing. So you'll want that, or you can always just sketch that out too, to the shape of the bird that you want to use. I've got some doily here that I'm going to use in the sun, and I've got tons of paper. So I've got some music notes, I've got scraps of some blues, I've got scraps of yellows. I've also pulled out this book, which is really nice. It's kind of got all the colors and some funky designs, so I might pull some yellows out of that. I'll just put that to the side. And then I got a book of old sheet music that I'm going to use for the background. This is kind of where I keep my scraps. So whenever I'm doing mixed media, I kind of revert back to here and pull stuff from there. So mixed media is great for using up scraps of scrapbook paper. You can collect articles from newspapers with colors that you like. You can use news flyers or junk mail that you get, you know, rip out the colors of the junk mail that you get and throw it in just a folder to use for future use. And then you just kind of build this collection of fun paper to use. Another thing that you can do is make your own pattern paper. So here is just some printer paper that I used some gold color on and some bubble wrap and started creating my own pattern paper. So that can be a fun activity, is to kind of just create a bunch of pattern paper yourself with colors that you like, using different stencils. Here's another pattern paper that I created using, I think this is baker's tissue or something like that. So tissue paper's another one. Napkins are another great source of mixed media. So just start gathering things that you like, things that catch your eye color-wise, throw them in a book, and then you've got this great collection to use for when we're doing mixed media. What else do we have? We've got, let's see, I'm going to be using just a few stencils and not a lot. I've got some polka dots that I've added up here that I've used the stencil for. I used the stencil down here to create these pink little flowers that are just, you just barely see them, but again, adds some fun texture. And then I've used this pattern or this stencil here along the bottom to just indicate grass. But stencils are absolutely not necessary to do mixed media if you didn't have any. You're going to want scissors, a pencil, not necessarily a ruler. I'm going to put that aside. And then some sort of glue. So I've got Mod Podge here, Mod Podge, that you can use. You could use Elmer's glue, really any type of glue to glue your paper down. Another idea is I found this multi-purpose adhesive spray at the dollar store or Dollar Tree, and gave it a try the other day, and it actually works fairly well. You can just spray your piece off to the side, pick it up, and then put it down. So I'll show you how that works too if you want to give it a try. Hello from Oregon, welcome. Sarah's here and ready, welcome, yay. Hello Kathy, hi Nancy. Awesome. Okay, so let's just set this aside and get started. The first thing I did was I took some music notes to put on the background here, and I'm gonna run out of space, so we're gonna have to put that aside completely. So I put music note on the back, and so I'm just going to grab this old music note paper, tear a piece out, and use that. And that fits fairly well here. The first thing that I'm going to do is get rid of all of these hard edges. I want to have some nice texture in my mixed media. And so we're just going to rip off these edges here. So, who has done mixed media art? Did you enjoy it? I don't do a lot of it, but every once in a while it's kind of fun to do something a little bit different. And I'll get on a mixed media kick for about a couple weeks, maybe a month, and then I'll go back to my acrylic paintings, but like I said, it is fun. Okay, so let's start by gluing this music paper down, and I'm going to use just my bottle of Mod Podge here. I buy the big bottles, and so it's easier to just put in this little squeeze container. I'm just going to squeeze a bunch on the back side here, and then I'll use my brush to push it around. The other thing that I use, and I forgot to mention, is a paint pen or a Sharpie. So I'm going to add at the very end some fun scribbly marks, and you could definitely just use a thin or a liner brush and some black paint, but sometimes having just a thin fine tip Sharpies nice and easy to create those fun marks. Alright, so I got it on all the edges here, and we'll just flip it around. And then we'll smooth it out. A good tool for making sure that you've got all your bubbles out and it's nice and smooth is just an old gift card or an old store card, membership card, and that can really help. Just get you a nice smooth edge. Helps get the bubbles out, any excess glue. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my finger now and kind of look at all my edges and make sure that I have enough glue to secure those down. So we don't want those popping up later on us. Okay. I should have filled my bottle before class here. Let's try and get some of this glue out. Leave it upside down, maybe. Okay. So again, make sure that all your bits are secured down. lift it up and push some glue under if you need to. And then also I'm just gonna go over with my Mod Podge here, just like I'm painting it, and create a seal around all my edges. Hi Darla, hi Pamela, hi Connie. So if you're just joining us, say hi, let me know where you're watching from, and if you're painting with today. Or if you're just gonna watch and paint later. So I know that is sometimes easiest. Okay, so throw that in the water. So when you're working with mixed media, one thing I do want to point out is the glue, the Mod Podge, whatever you're going to use, make sure that you're using a brush that you don't care too much about. Don't use one of your nicer paint brushes, because if you accidentally just leave it sitting on your surface, it will dry and there's no getting that glue out. So keep that in mind. All right, so we're going to give this a few minutes to dry here. And while that's drying, let's get our paint ready for the next step. I forgot a paint that I used. Antique Parchment is another color that I'm using, and I'm using this to help me blend this paper in around the outside. So I'm gonna get that out. I'm also gonna get some white out at this point. And we'll get the blue out. And then I'm going to get my large flat brush out here, give it a wash, it's in the water. I forgot to mention what brushes I was going to use today, but while this is dry, this is a good time for that. I'm going to use my large flat a lot, just because with this painting it's very abstract-y. There's no really detailed line work that's happening here. We're just having fun painting some different shapes and things like that. So a lot of my painting will be done here. I will also be using probably a couple different rounds. So I'll get those out. I got a large round and then probably just a small round. Again, I'm not gonna use a detail brush today or a liner, because again, we're gonna use a paint pen and keep it loose and more abstract. Okay, we are good. We are dry. All right, so I'm going to start by blending this paper back. I'm going to cover some of it. We really just want to see some of it peeking through. When you're doing it, you're going to want to just kind of pause and take a look at how much of the music notes you want to see come through. It's all a matter of preference. There's no right or wrong. If you want more music notes coming through, you won't cover it maybe as much as I do. So I'm starting by blending the two colors together. I've got the white on my brush and the antique, and I'm just laying that paint down. I'm not over mixing, so I see some fun streaks of white. I see that antique, and you can start to see how we are just pushing that edge of the paper back. but also because of that layer, we still see some of this really fun texture peek through where we've torn the music paper. I'm just gonna bruise down here. Okay. So I'm going back and forth with my brush strokes, being very random. More messy. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of this blue with the white. I'm going to tone it down just a little bit and start adding a little bit of blue up in the corner here. So I'm going to put my sun up in this corner, and so I want some blues over here to indicate the sky, and then I'm going to also bring some blues down on this side and over here, and my bird's going to be about the center. So I'm just adding a little bit of blue to my white here and just blending that right on the paper with that already wet paint. Again, messy. We just want to see a hint of blue. Just kind of work that color in around the painting. So I'm going to bring a little bit of blue down here. And maybe right in here. So it's just very faint. And if you get it too dark for your liking, just add a little bit of white on top of it and push it back a little bit. If it's too light, if you'd like to see more of that blue, then go the other way with it and just grab a little bit more. Maybe we want to see some darker areas up here. You can start to see that coming through, and it's not solid. I'm just messily putting some color in there. And that helps us create this illusion of clouds up here too, if we're not just having a solid blue. We just kind of blend it into that paint. Some of it's dry, so it flows right over that. Some of it's wet and it's blending in, and so we get this really great texture up here. Okay, so while this is drying, let's go look at colors for the bird. So my bird's gonna sit about right here and here. And so let's look at some paper and decide what to use. Another good idea, or another fun mixed media paper, is pattern paper. Old pattern paper makes great fun texture in your art. Did I say napkins yet? Napkins are another idea. Let's see, I kind of like this for the wing, and maybe something, I don't know if I have enough of this, maybe the polka dots for the body, but let me just check here. Another tip I want to give you guys, when you're working with mixed media, sometimes choosing the paper can be a roadblock. You know, you might have too much. So my tip for you is typically the first one you pick is the one you should go with, because you can continue looking through all this paper and go, oh, what about this or what about that? And then all of a sudden, too much time has passed and you're like, oh, now I have to put it away. Or now I have to run and do something else. So stick with your intuition and just go with it. So I'm gonna just go with it because I'm gonna start picking through all my paper and changing my mind, right? All right, so we're gonna do that and that. So let's slide this out of the way for a minute and we will cut this out. So I'm going to just lay my pattern right on my paper in the manner that I want my pattern on the paper to be. So my tracer, I should say, my tracer. I'm going to lay my tracer on and think about your patterns underneath and how you want those to display in that area. So we'll lay that down and then I'm just going to take a pencil and quickly trace around that. And then we will get our scissors out and cut that piece out. Alright, we got our wing. We'll do the same with the bird here. We'll lay the body out, just quickly trace over it. Hi Ruby, thanks. Hi Mary, hi Pamela. Welcome ladies. If you're just joining, we are doing our paper bird paint party this afternoon during our lunch. We might run over the 1 o'clock hour just a little bit for this one. As long as I stay focused and don't fret too much about the paper, right? Okay. I think those are gonna go great. And so next I'm going to look at legs. What do we want to use for the legs? Let me just grab something here. Find something that will go. Maybe something solid and bright. A gray, a dark. Let's just do this gray here. So for the legs, all I did was cut long rectangles. We got 1 and 2. So this, let me show you my original. So I've just cut some rectangles here and then I come over with some greenery to kind of cover up the bottom that he's standing in that grass there. And I actually cut 2 pieces of wing out. So let me grab something just real fast here. So we have a little piece of a wing in the background that we see. So let me show you that. We're going to cut 2 wings out. And then that way we've got one that kind of sits back here and one that lays on top. So we kind of see this wing in the background. Well, thanks, Mary. And then what else do we need? We can cut some of this coordinating paper out for the tail. Maybe we want to add some strips to the tail. This is a little long here, but we can cut those down and do that. Alright, so last thing then I need is a little beak. So I'm just going to grab some of this orange here. It's kind of blah, but that's alright. And we'll just cut a little beak. Okay, so let's glue this guy down, and then we'll go through and cut out our sun here. So I'm going to start by moving all these pieces here. Let me try and get some more glue out. I might have to revert to my squirt bottle here. Here we go. And actually, let me show you that. So I've got just a scratch sheet of paper here, and like I said, I found this at the Dollar Tree, I think in maybe Great Falls or somewhere, I can't remember. I've had it for a while. Works on paper, wood, cardboard, and more. So I just give it a little shake and literally just spray the back here. It's not the greatest sprayer, but it's kind of handy to use when doing these mixed media. Then I'm going to grab my glue brush and just push it around. It's kind of wet, so it takes a little bit longer to dry because it is more fluid than the other. So let's see, where do I want this? I'll just put this right there. Smooth it out. Grab your little card. Make sure all the bits and bubbles are out. And then I forgot to stick this down in here. Let's see if I can lift this up and stick that down in there. No, it's not going to work. So we'll have to cut that. No problem. Actually, I'll just do this here. I saw this post the other day that some other artist had posted, and it said, I just want to, I don't know if I can remember the words exactly, but essentially it said, I just want to craft, take naps, and something else. There was something else. Have snacks, maybe it was. Craft, eat snacks, and take naps. And then at the bottom said, essentially, I just want to go back to kindergarten. Which is kind of fitting today since we're doing cutting and gluing and all of that fun stuff. Okay, so I've put that wing just kind of tucked a little bit behind there. I'm seeing just a little bit of that wing from the other side. I should have tucked it behind the bird, but that's okay. We can come in with some paint and clean that up. So then I've got just these little bits here that I'm going to add to the tail just for some more texture here. Add another pattern on that guy. These are just rectangles. You could make them into more of a triangle if you wanted to. Have one end narrow, one end wider. Just have fun with cutting those out. Alright, I've got one leg. Oh, I've got both legs here. Okay. I'm going to trim one of my legs down. He's a little bit fat. And we'll put his legs on. And you could tuck his legs behind his body if you want to. If you're catching this We're gonna do this later. You could tuck his legs underneath. Just put those down first. And then we'll do the little beak here. Just throw some glue right on there. Okay. So I'm just going to take that glue and just going to go all the way around the bird, making sure there's no bits sticking up or popped up, bubbled up. Because when we get paper wet, sometimes it just wants to bubble and not lay flat. So just a little bit of glue around all the edges helps. All right, so let's work on that sun next. I'll bring out my original here. So all I've done for the sun is used a bunch, excuse me. Let me start over. So what I've done here is just cut a bunch of strips of yellows and oranges. I've got some corals, some floral patterns in there, and then I use the doily for the sun here. So we're gonna start by cutting strips. And pull out our paper. And find all my oranges. I've also added in some tan colors in there, excuse me, some whites. Here's some orange pattern paper, so we'll just start cutting some of those. And I'm not concerned about how big. Some will be wider, some might not be completely straight. We've already got that color. Let's add some of this bright pink up there and make it just a few of these. Here's a fun yellow pattern paper. So this one I'll be able to get 2 out of. Cut that in half there. Got this. Some of this bright orange. Might be a little too bright for the look I'm going for, but we'll cut some just in case. Don't be afraid to just cut up and start tearing. And if you decide later that you don't want that color in, you don't need to use it. But I like the more muted tones, so that bright orange might bother me just a little bit. Let's see. I know I have more orange in here. It's probably at the other side of my book here. Let's grab some of this tan color. This nice yellow. And you could tear your strips too if you wanted to have all torn bits in your mixed media. That's always pretty as well. Alright, we might be good here. Cut just a few more. And let's try and keep this yellow out on top so we're not hunting for it later, in case I need more. Alright, where is my doily now, guys? Might have lost my doily, which if I did, I guess we can always just do something different, right? We don't need it. Oh, there it is, found it. Okay. So place your circle bit or doily or whatever you might just have some pattern paper there that you want to use. So I'm going to lay this here and kind of decide how much I want to see, and then I'm just going to fold it where I'm going to cut it. So this is going to be my sun, and these would be fun down here if you wanted to add these down at the bottom. You could always use these extra bits here. So the reason why I have this here is I wanted something to cover up the end of my sun rays. And like I said, you don't have to use a doily. You could use pattern paper or whatever you have. But what I'm going to do for this part is I'm going to take my Mod Podge and I'm going to apply it directly to my canvas or my paper here. It's a little bit faster than trying to apply it to each individual strip. It'll go just a little bit faster here. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, all right, I need to at least start my strips about here, and maybe let's just draw a quick little line here just to guide us where our doily's gonna sit. So I've got this line here. I want to make sure my strip is behind that so it gets covered up. So I'm going to start at the top and I'm just going to start placing some Mod Podge from inside that circle that we see out horizontal there. And then I'm going to start taking my strips and just lay them down on there. And then smooth them out with my fingers. I'll come back over the top of that, just secure it, and then go on to the next. I'm not concerned about laying all my strips out first. I'm just trying to get them kind of a little bit so that my patterns aren't stacking on top. So a little bit random. I have some of this brown I'll do next. And then I'm also working my way to changing the direction. So I'm not just going to go this way. I'm going to start to rotate my strips all the way around. And we're going to start seeing some gaps in here, but that's okay. Let's put this bright pink one in here. Kind of got some orange tones. And we can do some different varying lengths. You want some short ones and some longer ones. Don't overthink it, just have fun with placing these down. Keep it random. Just make sure that you get all the bubbles out, and then once in a while just go over them with some more of that Mod Podge to seal your edges. You can overlap a little bit. I think I want a long one coming out this way here, so I'm going to put a longer one just to kind of get some length in some of these strips. We have a nice variation of length here. And then also let's put one up here. It's a little bit longer. So you can always go back and add. We can start to see that sun building. Kind of keep coming around our half circle up here. Let's get some of this other color in, some bright color down here. And it's stuck there, so that's where it's gonna go. I'm just laying my glue, my Mod Podge down, creating a wet layer to apply my strips to. And then I'm going to go back over the top of that and seal those edges so it doesn't pop up. Some excess up here I'm going to tear off. So we cut plenty of strips. Plenty. Something bright down here. Maybe some of this. Right on top. A little shorter maybe. I'm laying it down and then I rip it off, where it's going to get covered up with that. There, I think that looks okay. We can always add more later, so I'm just going to throw these strips off to the side just in case we decide we need a few more bits of yellow up there. Okay. And then we've got this doily that's going to sit up here in the corner. So we'll put some gobs of glue down, and then we will kind of just want to move this guy over a little bit. Alright, and then we put this up here, and I've got blue all over my fingers somehow, but that's alright. Messy and fun, right? They'll all come together. get a little bit more glue. I'm going to go right over the lacy part of this doily and try and get that nice and secured down. And then we can let this dry. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to come back and start adding some paint on top of it, and we'll put some stencils there. So let's work on the grassy area of our painting here. I'm going to get some of this Kelly green out and lay it down. And let's get some of this pink. We add a little bit of some pink flowers down here. I'm going to get some yellow out. And I think that's it. Okay, so I'm going to start by adding some of this pink in behind around the edges here. Excuse me. And I'm going to use a polka dot stencil for this. If you didn't have a polka dot stencil, you could use a bubble wrap from a Amazon bag. That works great. So I'm just going to lay this down, and I'm going to get some of the pink on my brush. Now with the stencil, I want it to be really light, and I don't want it to bleed underneath. So the key to that is to have a dry brush or just a very, very small amount of paint on your brush. So I'm going to grab just a little bit from my side of my mound here, and I'm going to pull it away, and I'm just going to keep moving my brush into this area that's just got a little bit of paint. Okay, and then I'm going to try and just push that paint around to the very tips of my bristles here, and then I'm just going to come out and lightly take that paint and push it through the little bits, those little holes. Just want to work with a small amount of paint. It really helps so that you're not bleeding underneath. If you get too much, then it does seep underneath and you kind of get polka dots that don't look like polka dots. But if that happens, that's okay, because we're going to come over the top of this with some greenery. So you can see that just a really faint pink polka dot down there. Another great tool for doing stencils is the makeup sponge. Did I use it last time? I've used it a couple times for, let me grab one. I've used it a couple times for different projects, but they also work great for stencils. And let me show you how this works. So I've just got this makeup sponge. Used to put makeup on, I guess, right? I was gonna go into detail, but that's not necessary. And I'm going to do the same thing with this. I don't want to have a lot on the bottom, so I've pulled some away from my pile, and I'm just dabbing that in and getting that paint all along the bottom of my makeup sponge. And the key here is you don't want to see it globbing on the end. You just want to have a very light amount of paint there, and then this is just an up and down motion. We're just pressing that paint in between the stencil and creating polka dots that way. So a couple different ways to do that. I'm just going up and down. I might get some really pretty pink polka dots there. Okay, so then we've got that down. Let's do the green. And I'm not going to wash this. I'm just going to go right into that green. Put it right on top with that pink. We'll use this same makeup sponge. And I'm just going to lay this out and start dabbing that color in. And I'm not going to worry about trying to line up my pattern with anything or line it up with an edge or an existing pattern. Just gonna throw that stencil down and start dabbing that pattern in. So really no rhyme or reason. Maybe we go and turn it a little bit and get some of that pattern a different way. And then we can also go up the side here. Just get a bit of a color there. And then also on this side. Okay. All right, so we also are gonna use just a round brush. Let me get my round out here. And I'm going to load it up with just, I have a little bit of water in it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this grain, I'm gonna grab a little bit and move it to the side and water it down just a little bit. And then I'm gonna come around and just start dragging that water messily through the bottom of my canvas and creating this grassy background. Adding a little bit of water helps us to still see some of this great pattern down here. We've just got this washed out color. We don't lose our polka dots, so we still see some of that, but we've got this great color down here. Okay. And then let's grab a little bit of some water. Just kind of swish your brush around in the water and then gently tap it on the side, and we've still got water in the bristles here. So let's go grab some of this yellow and add, just move it around our palette or our plate, whatever you're using, and water down some of that. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of that yellow back here along the sides. It's watered down, it moves and gives us just that nice washed out look. And then since I've got that in my brush, I'm gonna grab just a little bit more water, a little bit more yellow, and let's add some yellow up here maybe. And then, let's see, is this dry yet? Let's wash in some yellow up here, just around the rays. We'll come back with more of a solid yellow and start kind of blending those papers together a little bit. But right around the rays, I want to have that washed out, that sun is shining look. With this watered down yellow. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna wash my brush, tap it on the side, leave the water in. I'm not gonna squeeze my water out, and now we're gonna go grab some of this blue and do the same thing. Let's make a washed out blue. And here we're going to just kind of drop some blue down in the grass. Blend this up here a little bit, drop some blue up there. Okay, and then while we're in that blue, let's just go grab some of that blue color and start kind of just putting some blue paint around the bird. I'm going to blend that line in, and then I'm going to also right here on the tail pretty much cover all of that pattern. The blue's a really see-through blue, so we still see some of that great pattern coming through the paper. And then we're going to come around the bottom of the wing here with some blue paint. And come around the top. And also around the top of the head here. Then I'm going to grab some white. I'm not going to wash my brush, I just want to add some white to that. And then I've got this little bit up here where the sun is hitting the top of his head. So we've got that shine there that we're going to put white. We're going to add some white to the tips of his wings here. And leave nice bold brush strokes to help us show that those are feathers. And we'll also just kind of bring some brush strokes around the bottom to, again, help see that the feathers kind of move around that way. We can add some white to the tail. Oh. Maybe just the tip here. And then I'm going to add some white around the neck and the bottom, just to add some pattern and some color to his body here. So just little short brush strokes right around the neck kind of indicates that there's a color change in his feathers right there. And then little brush strokes around the bottom. We've got that white belly there. Almost looks like he's wearing a scarf. Maybe we need to add a little bit of blue. And you could definitely add some other colors to this little bird. Maybe we want to add a little bit of green. Create some fun little painted patterns on top of the patterns that we see. So just have fun going back and forth with the colors that you have. Let's add some green to the tail. Just kind of using both the patterns in the paper and some patterns with your brush strokes to create this really pretty fun bird. Fun thing about this is usually when you do this a couple times, they're never the same. There we go. All right. So we were just in green. Let's go finish our grassy area, and then we're gonna go up to the sky and finish our sun and add a little more detail to that. But one of the things that I did was I created like these vines that kind of went up the side of my paper here on top of this pattern that looks really great as vines. I also painted in some vines, and to do that I used a round brush and I grabbed some of my grain and I just pressed that brush down, and it creates this really great leaf shape. And so I'm just kind of using my brush, pressing, going at different angles. And then I'm going to come on top of that when we're doing the last bit with some black and tie those together to create this fun little vine that's going up. We'll tie it all together. We'll add some stems. So it's just a press. Load your brush up, press it on your paper, pick it up, and you get this perfect little leaf. And I got a little extra on there, so I'm just gonna play around and add that greenery around. There we go. Alright, so let's go, let's see, is this dry? Yep. Let's go add some polka dots in our sun. And for this one, I did use the Polka Dot Stencil, but let me show you how this can work just as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my yellow, and I'm just going to brush it right onto my bubble wrap here. Do that. Doesn't have to be super thick. Okay, and then we can bring it up here and just do a light smoothing with that. And we lift it up, and we've got some really great, bright polka dots there. So what I'm going to do then is with the other side, let's grab some white in that. And just blend it right in with whatever yellow's left to get a really nice light yellow. Okay, and then we'll go over it again and add some highlights to that dark sun. We want to brighten it up a little bit. And there we go. So you can see how that really brightened that up. I'm going to try and get some more up in the corner there. There we go. So just some fun, funky polka dots, that squished polka dots, I guess you could call them. Alright, so let's grab some of that yellow and just come in with some brush strokes that indicate sun rays. So we're just coming from the point of the doily and bringing those brush strokes out alongside of our paper and creating sun rays with our yellow color. And this is really going to help that paper get blended in and look like the sun. So we're starting at that doily and we're just bringing that color out, away from the doily, creating sun rays. There we go. And I've got just a little bit back here I'm going to cover up. We are almost done, guys. I want to add some clouds, and I'm actually going to add a little bit of white to my sun. It's a little bit dark. So I'm adding some white to my brush. I haven't washed it yet. I'm just going to add some streaks of white in here, and it's blending nicely with that yellow that's already down, so we get this really nice bright yellow going on here. And that really just helps lighten it up. All right, quick wash, and let's add some clouds. So we're gonna go right into that white, and I'm just going to do these swirly motions out here. It's very subtle, you almost can't see them. But once it dries, we're going to really see those kind of pop out off of the paper here. A little bit of paint on your brush and just a swirly motion, just kind of going in little circles out here, creating these fun you can bring some of that swirl down here if you want. we go. So let's just take a look at the original compared to this one that we have here. You can see how my sun's just a little bit different. Like I said, every time you do something like this with a mixed media, it's always going to be different, which is the great thing about doing mixed media, because you maybe are using different paper, you know, the way that you cut it, the way that your brush strokes are, but they're both equally as beautiful and just are so fun to do. So the last thing that we're going to do before I let you go is grab a fine tip Sharpie, and I'm going to add some fun just outlines to some certain areas. I like the way that the Sharpie kind of drags across the paint and the paper and creates it almost looks like a stitched effect. Let me see if I can, I'll bring this up so you can see it. Kind of around, let's see around the bird here, we've got these dragged marks that come around. In the vine here, we've got these broken up pieces of that Sharpie. Again, I think it looks really cool and adds that look that maybe this is stitched together. So just another layer that you can add to your mixed media. And actually, you guys, I'm gonna just blast this with a blow dryer real quick. Otherwise, if I try and drag my Sharpie through the paint, it will clog up my tip and not work anyway. So let me blow dry this real quick. My marker, make sure it's a good one, it's gonna work good, and yeah, it'll work. Okay, so I'm gonna hold it really loosely because I don't want it to be a complete outline, right? We want it to have just some fun whimsical outlining here, so I'm holding it by the tip. Okay, I don't want to hold it like this, because when we hold this pen like this, we immediately think nice and straight outlines. If we hold it like this, we're forced to just let the pen kind of drag across the paper, catch on some of that paper that we have there, catch on that paint, and create these really fun outlines that are very abstract. I just went all the way around the bird. I'm going to go around this wing here, around the bottom, and try and go around this back wing there. We can also add some black lines to the tail there, and we'll come around the beak. I'm going to add just a little black dot right here for his eye. Okay, and then up here in the sun, I'm just going to try and just come around a couple of the rays. We'll go around the doily, which isn't exact. Come around a few of the rays, come back to the center, come back to the doily every once in a while. So if you guys paint along, whether that be while I'm live now or on the replay, I would love to see your guys' creation. So please send me a picture or post it on our page. All right, so for the vine down here, I'm just going around each of those leaves that I had, and then I'm going to connect them to each other. So I'm taking that and kind of just dragging them down to kind of a center point here to create this look of a vine. They're all stemming off something. Okay, and then you could always just kind of go over everything just a second time and get that really sketchy look. So I'm going to just go around my bird one more time, just my bird. Get a really sketchy look around him. And there we go. I'm going to just sign my name right here. And that is that. So like I said, if you guys paint along, if you enjoyed this mixed media and end up doing it later, please show me. It is so much fun to see how everyone's unique personality comes out in these paintings. We all like what we like, and even if we're guided to do a certain thing, once we start getting into it, you're going to start using things that you like and doing things that you like. So let me just bring this up so you can see that sketching just a little bit better. You can see that fun line work around the sun. My smashed up bubbles up there with that bubble wrap. And those swirly clouds that are just very subtle. And that sketch around the bird. And then around the vines down there. And there we go. That's our paper bird. So I hope you have fun with this one. Like I said, the supply list and the tracers if you want them, or in the description. It will take you to my website and you can download them from there. And I want to say that I even included a PDF of a music note sheet that you could use for the background if you wanted to. But you could always use an old dictionary, whatever you want on the background. If you had some pretty blue paper, you could do that too. So, I'm going to make sure I didn't miss anything. I was trying to keep my eye on the comments. I didn't see any questions. But if you guys are doing this later and do have questions, feel free to reach out. I would love to help out and answer any questions that you might have in doing a mixed media project if it's your first time. And yeah, so let's just make sure. Okay, so I'm gonna let you guys go. We're just a few minutes over the 1 o'clock hour. I knew this one would take a little bit, but I think it was worth it. It's so fun, you guys. I hope you attempt it. I hope you have fun with it. Be loose, have fun, ask what if. Remember, it's just paint. You can always paint over it if something goes wrong. Let it dry, start again, and just have fun. So I will let you go, and we will talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.